The Boss and the Sauce Show.
Boss and the Sauce Show.
Boss and the Sauce Show.
Boss and the Sauce Show. Here we go.
What up, thou? It's the Boss and the Sauce. We back, baby.
It's been a day and a half. What's happening, brother?
It's been a while since we cranked up these Boss and the Sauce logos and everything, but I know the people know that we ain't went nowhere. It's always been the same, but at the same time, you know, we've been 5 years strong into this, and we about to head forward, man. So y'all stay tuned to us, the Boss and the Sauce. You go look us up. They go our Twitter handles. You do the homework from this point. I don't want to have nothing to prove here. But we come to watch our show. You'll have a good time. We're welcome to all comments and everything. So come on over to the Boss and the Sauce, man. You let the people know how you feeling today, Big Ragoo.
Hey, I feel okay. It's Friday, 4th of July weekend. We're going to start the fireworks a little early tonight. Let's say, just fire up the fan base. Let's get some talk a little bit about college football. I know you contacted me a little early today. We're going to start doing these a lot more often. But tonight, you want to, break bread on a little bit of a Pac-12 info. I said, yeah, let's do it, brother. Let's get down to it. People know who we are, so let's just throw some information at them. Whatever we decide to bring up, whatever you want to talk about, we'll bring it up.
Exactly. Well, first off, I have a couple questions in the chat. I know everybody hasn't gotten the chat room yet. I'm gonna go ahead and tweet this out again, make sure everybody come.
Yeah, I just did too.
But I have 3 questions in the chat just for the chat. Feel free to jump in at any time and answer any of those questions. Give us your opinion. We don't got all our favorite team stuff today, so it ain't about all that. It's about the game in general, man. And big topic in the news, so we had to come touch on it, and that's USC and UCLA heading over to the Big Ten. If you didn't know, I'm pretty sure you know by now. It happened Thursday. After doing a quick little research on it, it was funny to say that the commissioner of the Pac-12 last day was that Thursday, and they switched it over right away. So many people in the background saying this was something that they already knew was coming. Many say that, Fox has a lot to do with it. It has a lot to do with money. And I think a lot of what everyone is saying makes a lot of sense, especially being a college football fan and what we've seen, what we're looking for at the future. But I just kind of feel that sometimes like the nerve of the sport that I love coming up as a kid, which I felt was the most honest thing. You got everything you earned. If you ran more laps, you got faster. If you lift more weights, you got stronger. And that was the key to everything. And now we see money being pushed around, Big Ragoo, and in ways that us as fans, we do carry along because we love the game, but I think many of us disagree about a lot of things inside. Yeah. How you feel about it, Big Ragoo?
There's so many dynamics that have changed in the past couple of years, ever since the pandemic came. I mean, it's not because of the pandemic. It's just something that's been brewing for a long time in college football. Especially it all started out with the transfer portal thing, which we had 50-year eligibility. And once they got all their schooling done and, classwork and everything, the graduate transfer program, right? 50 years. Russell Wilson was the prime example of that. Then they said, okay, you had to sit out a year. Then they went to the to the play immediate scenario, which was last year. And then with the COVID, then you had some 6-year seniors hanging around. So they had another year of eligibility. And now we have the name and likeness, the NIL thing. And that's really changed the whole dynamic. And I think that between the transfer portal system, which they're going to have to get their hands on that somehow, and then the NIL deals, it's just it's becoming a free agency, and it's gone amok. I think it's just kind of getting out of hand. Because whoever's got the deepest pockets now are getting the talents, and the kids that are showing up to play. Like I read about the kid in Miami, $9.5 million deal for the quarterback. He's supposed to be the second best quarterback in the country, but $9.5 million promised to a 17-year-old. That's outrageous.
Hey, let me say big what up though to my guy Pooh Dangles in the chat. Now that's a personal friend of mine who's a SC fan, been an SC fan for years, and I like to get him on the show to know. I really want to know my SC fans' opinion of this whole situation because that dynamic is huge. But let's go back to the transfer portal because I've been doing a little studying on on this year coming up, and as far as the transfer portal, like to tell you the truth, honestly, I mean, you probably could dig up some numbers or something that could probably defeat me. I'll tell you that. But me being a sports bettor, me being a fan, and my continuance in the way I see the game, we haven't seen a lot of success with the transfer portal outside of individual positions. Like there's been some individual positions where some people have been able to come replace maybe one player, maybe two players. But all these big old things like UCLA had a bunch of them last year. Like it hasn't shown that it's a fix just to go get a handful of transfer players. And coming up, a lot of these teams and coaches, especially out of these major 5 changes, or let's say 10 changes in coaches, that many of them are using the transfer portal to pacify the need. I believed in it last year when Chip Kelly did what he did with UCLA because he brought on additional players, including using the fact that they were going to be paid as well. And I've seen this with my own eyes, seeing that local food places and stuff have sandwiches and stuff in these players' name now. These same guys that came from Alabama and USC and came to UCLA. So, I seen that come together, and I was high on it at the beginning, but I guess you have to say it's a little like basketball, Big Ragoo. Like you can put 5 top players on the floor, but if they don't mesh together and find that, as Wham say, cohesiveness in the team, it's just not going to be a quick fix like that. I mean, look at Derek King last year. They thought he was just going to go over there and run the show, and back injury prone. He had bad games and everything, man. So I feel what you're saying on that.
Yeah, a lot of things have to come together. I mean, on paper, a lot of things look good, and like I don't want to keep talking about Russell Wilson, but he was a special talent. But you have guys that are sitting in the wings that can make it. If a team has an immediate need at a specific position, yes. If they have a bigger problem, like somebody like Rutgers, for instance, like Shiano, they were talking about. He did very well with a bunch of offensive linemen transfer, bringing them in. And then they're terrible on the offensive line. They got good running game, good running back position, but the offense, offensive line is not that good. And what Yao does really good at is special teams. He's always done that. He's good at motivating players, and he's the only guy that can kind of probably get that Rutgers because they were damaged for years over there. But anyways, the point is this: he's brought in a lot of portal guys at the offensive line position, and he's already said, I'm going to plug and play these guys and see who has the best fit. So when you approach it that way, and you're not a storied program and you got guys that want to start right away, that's to their advantage. But like you said, just to go out and think that you're going to do something, at least he kind of expecting something like that, but, and then you just, every scenario is a little bit different, but I don't know the big answer, the big scheme of things, because it's still pretty new for a lot of these coaches too, and it's got to change the way they recruit too. Long term. When years ago when you used to go knocking on doors, kids in high school, 11th, 12th grade, getting these kids to come on. Now, it depends on the universities. Do they want to win today, or do they want to? Are they trying to build a storied program where they're going to go back to recruiting? And it's kind of like what the NFL did in the draft with the Steelers. The Steelers always built their teams off the draft. They didn't believe in free agency, so you're going to have some traditional teams that are going to, do things they've been doing, like the Bamas. They're going to have the best of both worlds, and you're going to have the teams like Rutgers that are going to try to piecemeal a team together.
Yeah, I feel you 1,000% right there. And then I'll even go as far as to say, and some people may look at me some type of way, but I would probably take a Junko player over a transfer player any day because, I mean, many of these transfer players, I mean, what are you transferring for? If your skill and quality is that high and raising eyebrows and all that, I've never seen any team boohoo over some player transferring. You know, if you feel disattached with your team that you got to transfer, that shows some minuses in your whole philosophy or your insight on the game. Whereas a JUCO player, he's fighting to continue his career, and he doesn't have those type of things. He could have been the best at JUCO, or he could still have room to get better, but he's gonna get to that point. These guys coming in, especially guys who transferred down, right? I played for Alabama. Now I'm going over to New Mexico State. I'm supposed to be big stuff over there or whatever. And, the game is played between the lines, man. Not everybody always get to the level that they think they should be on. But some of these guys, some of the greatest players in the NFL play for these small schools. They didn't necessarily go to these big schools. So I don't think that's
when it comes to the NFL side, they know what they're looking for in the talent. So they don't have to, they don't have to go to the – I mean, it's nice they're put on national stage, a lot of these games, but, for years and years and years, you look at somebody like Walter Payton or Phil Simms that played at Morehead State and, the Jackson State, these smaller schools.
Man, Jerry Rice. I mean, the list goes on
Jerry
and on
Rice,
and on.
They're out there, if the talent's here, the NFL is going to find you, but it's all part of the recruiting. It's all part of the MO of these schools now. It's all dollars and cents. And that's like you were saying at the very top of the show, it's turning into a big money pit.
Exactly, man. So let's try to flip this ball, this whole thing of USC and UCLA going over to, let's toss it around a little bit, right? So let's look at it from a money aspect, which we know from a money aspect that it has to do with the television rights. The SEC is all locked into ESPN, and they're saying that Fox may be pushing the narrative on right here for ESPN for Fox to host.
Yeah, they got the Big Ten, right?
So yeah, they saying that Fox has a lot of interest behind it, and it has a lot to do with money and all that good stuff on that end. The TV contract that they're gonna get for the Big Ten will be awesome, and also on the money side, they were saying, I seen a comment say that teams like USC was making more money for the Pac-12 than they was benefiting off of the Pac-12 overall. So they said that SC and a couple other teams been jabbing at the Pac-12 for years now, that they're not necessarily getting, what they feel they deserve and what they bring to the table. So that's a big money thing. I mean, USC, they were like one of the founders of the Pac-12. It's strange, I think it's been 90-something years that they've been, a conference, and it's strange for them to jump off ship, especially in this nature that they're doing it right now. It's kind of strange for them to jump off, but it's always some reason behind it. And money-wise, I don't think they were getting what they wanted to get over there at the Pac-12. It was probably like Disneyland. They found out during the pandemic that Disneyland's still paying property tax in Anaheim like it's 1942. So, and they making millions of dollars a day paying chump change, for the taxes. So maybe it was a grandfather deal that it was time for it to blow up, man. But I think UCLA kind of trailed with them, though. I don't see that much insight for UCLA. How you feel about it money wise, Big Ragoo?
Yeah, well, the only thing I was thinking about, maybe not so much the TV revenue, but in the big scheme of things, money wise, like you said, like somebody like Fox coming in and having a Big Ten network, if they're involved with that, I'm not sure who the powers that be are, but I know they have a Big Ten network, just like they have an ACC network. And ACC and SEC are ESPN oriented. I know that for a fact. But I think you're right. Big Fox is behind the Big Ten, so they're trying to draw viewers, and obviously there's a big market out in California, out in LA, for these two teams, and it's probably like if not the second biggest television market in the country. So dollars and cents right there, put it in play. And then not only that, but now you kind of automatically draw those two teams in. So if you go back and look at the bowl season last year, I think your Mountain West was undefeated in the bowl season, if I remember correctly. But anyways, they have the Big Ten as a top-rated conference, power rating-wise, in football. So automatically you get that big boost with those two teams. And I wouldn't be surprised if Oregon and Stanford doesn't follow suit real quick behind that too. But I think what you're going to have long-term is you're going to have 4 or 5 of these, even though we have call them power conferences, you might have a little shrinkage there. So you probably wind up with like 4 and then maybe like a 5th or even a 6th, mid-level conference. And that's going to shake up the whole playoff system too down the road. But for right now, it's going to be a money grab bringing those teams in. And I'll probably see 2 more teams come from the Pac-12. Now, when is that supposed to happen? What year?
I think it's 23. They're calling it 2 years, so this year and then they're on the next year. But 23, I believe they're gonna make this happen because I think that's the same time. And many forget about Oklahoma and Texas going over to the SEC. Yeah. So this is kind of their rebuttal to that whole situation right there. So
yeah, I think what you're going to see, kind of like what they did in Major League Baseball, you have the 3. You got the American League, National League, and you got the 3 divisions. I think you're probably going to see 6 really good divisions in college football. 6 mega conferences. Right now you have 5, but it's probably because of attrition is going to be 6. Because they're going to have to do some realignments, and I think you'll have a lot of like East, West, North, South type things, and you might even have 3 in some conferences if they get that big. You know what I mean? So it's going to be a wild thing to see how it plays out longer term.
Hey,
but all we got to do is worry about what's in front of us today.
Yeah, that's a whole show in itself to figure out the trickle down effect. How did this all go down to about 5 or 6? Because if you think about the college football playoffs, it would work best if there was only like 5 conferences. Then you couldn't leave like Cincinnati hanging out and the Houstons.
We go down that road every year.
You couldn't even leave those guys hanging out if you just combine them. I mean, but the conferences would be a lot to that. A conference would be much bigger. You wouldn't play. They would have to increase the amount of games that they played each year because you would only see a very small percentage of your conference each year. So that would jade it up a little bit. But that was one of my questions too in the chat, which was, where do you see this thing going long term? But let me go ahead and get to a couple of these comments we had in the chat. My man Congo, he says Big Ten got the best deal than the SEC. With TV marketing, academic powerhouse team, etc. My man Pooh Dangles, he says Pac-10 and Big Ten always played in the Rose Bowl relationship.
That's
we're gonna talk about that next. Huh? Yeah, we're gonna talk about that next. But before we do that, I'm gonna bring my guy Teece in. What up, though, Teece?
Captain Delaware, what's happening?
What's happening, man?
How you doing, buddy? How's WNBA tonight, my man?
Hopefully it'll be good, man. We're getting ready to start now, so we'll see. But yeah, sorry, I'm a little bit late, man. I had a single father over here cooking a chuck roast.
That's right. So we was in here. We can't even go backwards, Teece. We got to keep going forward to this show because we got a bunch of questions in the chat. We're going to attack this first one. Pac-12. Pac-12 and Big Ten always had Rose Bowl relationship, which I totally agree with that 100%. I can't say. I need to look up the stats to see who has the best of that situation right there. But they do play. But I think in a whole though, when you consider them playing each other in a conference, it changes everything. When you talk about travel, when you talk about finance to travel, when you talk about which side of the division did they land on? It's a whole bunch of dynamics to that, which leads to another question that I had up there, and we'll include that one in this sector right here, so we answer them both. And that's will the Notre Dame USC rival be in right here? Will they get rid of that? With the acquisition of playing in that conference, how are they going to play that situation? Yeah, so let's go. I guess we'll go. Is my left to right, and we'll go with Teece, my man in the middle. How do you feel about the relationship between the Pac-12 and the Big Ten, through the years, and how it's going to affect in the future?
I liked it the way it was. You kept the West Coast over there. You got to realize these are college kids, man. You can't be keeping them up all night, days of travel at a time during the school year. I don't agree with this mood, to be honest with you. And I thought the relationship was great. You had the granddaddy of them all, where both of them would meet up. Of course, all that's changed with the BCS, but they still try to keep it the way it was, keep it original. But yeah, I can't say I'm a fan of this move. just because just what you had brought up about the amount of games. How many games are these guys going to be able to play in conference? I mean, you have a lot. That's a big travel schedule.
Yeah.
Hey, they say it's 3,000 miles from the West Coast to Rutgers. That's a lot of miles.
Yeah, and you gotta realize, I mean, these are kids. They're not grown adults. They're kids with an academic schedule.
Oh yeah, us college bettors, we know that they're kids. Remember, they're kids.
Yeah.
Don't knock a hole in your TV. They're kids. But Big Ragoo, coming from down there in the Florida Southern, you've seen all this kind of stuff before. How do you feel about it? About the Big Ten, the relationship?
I mean, I grew up. I'm 60, right? 60. That's 60 years. I've been watching college football probably since I was about 8. All right, so I mean, a lot of changes over the years, but more recently, with the realignments and whatnot, and then the BCS changes and all that stuff, like Teece was saying, the granddaddy of them all. I think the bowl season's kind of lost its flair a little bit, where, the New Year's Day thing was like you had the 6 games going on New Year's Day, and from morning sun up to sundown, that was it. You had all the games. Now it's all jumbled around. So I think they're kind of getting away from the bowl pageantry and more to the dollars and cents type of thing, which kind of sucks for the real enthusiasts, But in essence, they're still playing football. You're still going to get entertained. You're still going to watch a decent game. But it just depends. Like with the alignment, with these guys, where you had, like you were saying, like Oregon would play, maybe play Michigan, and then Cal or USC would play Ohio State, or Oregon, would play whoever, however it worked out. I think with the BCS alignment now, if the game isn't played, the national championship isn't played in Pasadena, I still think it should still be a Pac-12 versus a Big Ten game. Just the top 2 best teams that grade out. Because that's what they say. Well, if this team wins, they're going to play in the BCS. If they lose, they're going to go out to play in Pasadena in the other game. So it just
see, I didn't know about that part. So USC could end up in the bowl game against Arizona. Wow,
yeah.
how lackluster.
Yeah, that's going to be wild, right?
Yeah, that's going to be wild. So it's going to be a reunification of the old Pac-12 in the Rose Bowl. That's not a road that would kind of lower the caliber of bowl of the Rose Bowl is to me. But I don't know. That's. Hopefully they put USC and UCLA on the side with Wisconsin.
Well, they got East and the West in the Big Ten, so I would have to almost imagine that they would be in the West division.
Well, they would have to add one to each side, or what?
Well, they might have to move 2 of the other teams out into the other, or they're going to have to reconfigure. Like I was just looking at the West today, early on, and I think Iowa was like the top team in the West.
Yeah, Iowa and Wisconsin.
Yeah, Wisconsin's in the West too.
Yeah, Iowa, Wisconsin. I was looking at that.
Nebraska.
Let me pull it up too. I was looking at it earlier, and we're gonna bounce the ball around with this one too. Like again, what's gonna be the dynamics of this joint venture right here, considering the players, considering all the facts around it, and how powerful is the Big Ten gonna get just from receiving? Because I believe, well, not the Big Ten, but the Pac-12 for sure hasn't been. Nobody in the Pac-12 been to the college playoff yet.
Utah, and they're not going to do it this year either. Yeah, Utah is probably their best shot to get in. Utah's got to play Florida first game of the season. If they beat Florida, even though Florida's down a little bit, they got Napier coming in. And that's a big game for Utah because they could very easily have a chance for the college football playoff this year if they.
And I think only Ohio State from the Big Ten has been, right.
Ohio State, yeah.
Only Ohio State. I don't think any other team has been.
Yeah, Michigan. Oregon. Michigan had their chance to beat them, and
Oregon touched it. What, last year?
A couple years ago, didn't they? Played Ohio State, didn't they?
That pandemic year, Oregon had got pushed up because one team couldn't play because of COVID. So I don't know.
It was like a shortened season.
But many people look at it and they saying like, oh, the Big Ten is supposed to look similar to the SEC just from adding USC and UCLA. Well, let me tell y'all something. The Big Ten, no disrespect to none of the Big Ten. I love Michigan. I respect Ohio State. But Michigan State, they're always on the rails. Penn State hasn't been able to put it together in at least 10 years.
Yeah, they can't win from home.
Maryland is about the same as Arizona State or something in the Pac-12. Rutgers may be like a Cal, which is even worse, right? Indiana, they step up to the plate, but they still like a Arizona or nothing special. And then you go over to the other side. Let's go to the west side of the division. You got Wisconsin. Got to give Wisconsin a respect. They play smash mouth football. They play in the system that's going to always play at a high level out of discipline, out of, what they do there. Great. Then you got Iowa. Where did Iowa go?
Iowa's good.
Then you got Iowa. This year, they don't even have Iowa ranked number 2. They got Iowa in the 3 spot. So then you got Iowa, and they play even though they play a discipline, they play a lackluster game. Like watching the Iowa game is not the most exciting thing to do on a Saturday.
They got a great defense, I can tell you that.
They do. They play great defense. They play discipline, but they schemes and what they do in Iowa is like the Navy and the Army, done well, without all the running stuff, right?
I have to interject real quick.
Okay.
Doc, you should have been right on top of this.
Go ahead,
they played Florida State in 2015 for the national championship. Oregon did.
Oregon, yeah. Yeah, you're right. I remember now. Yeah,
and then we got Minnesota. I got more respect for Minnesota than a lot of teams because they just, they up sometimes. Then we got this Nebraska who they've been spinning their wheels for so long. They tried to pump up all kinds of stuff. It just didn't work in Nebraska. Then you got Illinois.
Nebraska's going to be really good this year.
I hope Nebraska.
Yeah,
I'm looking for the changes.
They're going to take the play calling away from Frost is going to take the play calling away from himself.
Really?
He's up to staff, and he's got what's his name? Anthony Grant's pretty good running back, and Thompson, the kid Thompson, came in the quarterback, so that'll be good. And their linebacker plays stupid over there. They probably got the best linebackers in the country in Nebraska right now.
But at times I think the fans play way harder than the players at Nebraska sometimes because the fans are tough over there. Then we got Illinois. I kind of like Illinois' look last year. They got the the ex-NFL coach. I forget who the coach is.
Brett Bielema.
Yeah, Bielema. They got a nice guy over there. They got a high ceiling, I can say at this point, but we don't know. That's like a sleeper. But their history is not much. And then we got Northwestern over there, which is, not much to say either. So adding USC is great. Adding UCLA is not saying much. I think like my man Who-Bangin said in the thing, they adding UCLA for basketball. It don't even have nothing to do with football.
That's true. I was razzing a friend of mine who's a big Notre Dame fan, by the way. Shout out to my guy I work with. He's a big time Notre Dame fan, so he wasn't arguing with me. But I said, "Well, you get along with my man DJ Bigboss. He's going to tune into the shows once we get going." But he was telling me that he likes Freeman. He likes Freeman.
Oh man, I did some research on Freeman. I didn't know the guy was that hot. But we don't got no quarterback. We didn't have a quarterback last year. They didn't make the quarterback situation no better.
Why won't they commit to the? I think it's dollars. Here we go talking about dollars again. So they're an ACC football team, correct?
Well, we play 5 games a year. Yeah, we're still independent.
They're ACC. They're ACC baseball, right? But they're
baseball. Every sport except for football. Every sport.
Every sport, right? So no football. Why do you think that is? Money?
Because of the contract with NBC.
NBC.
Nobody, we don't want to share that contract. I got to give it to Notre Dame. They acquired that type of contract a long time ago on their own, right? These guys, the whole conferences are trying to acquire these contracts with the TVs now, right? So we was already on our stuff long time ago.
You guys would have started all this bullshit then, right?
Exactly. We it's always been, why should we share our contract?
Notre Dame.
Why should we share our NBC contract with the ACC? Yeah. And we still have it. Like whatever conference we bounce in, not only are you going to be able to see us on maybe ESPN, but you're going to be able to see us on regular standard Channel 4 as well out here. You know what I'm saying? NBC. So That's always been the whole
I
issue with
bring
the whole
that to light
thing.
for that reason, just so people would understand like how this ball. Now I'm not blaming Notre Dame, but that's where it's at.
Yeah, but for the sake of all my haters, in the pandemic year, they did throw us in the ACC and we whooped ass.
Yeah, you did.
So, I
don't
mean, do
know
you
what
really
we
want
got.
us in the ACC? And that go to the next one. Okay, let's leave some schools, two crucial schools in this whole transition. Well, three. Let's say Notre Dame is one. Depends on what they do. If they join the ACC, it's enough for Clemson to stay. If they don't join the ACC, Clemson's on the island, and then you have Oregon at the Pac-12, who's kind of held because USC ain't been on the throne in years, to tell the truth. You know that's really a name because they're not really playing at that level. They do have a great coach and have a great ceiling and maybe everything looking forward. But if you want to judge to what they've done now, they ain't done nothing since they got rid of Pete Carroll. So that goes back years now. And where do you leave Oregon in this situation? You know, they dropped Cristobal. Cristobal leveled up to Miami. You know, and they did just like all other top schools. I'm gonna go get a young coach to come here and fill these shoes and get these pockets hot again. So I think they've held it down for several years, even competed with USC at times. I think they deserve a spot too. If they, I think I seen read some stuff say the Pac-12 might get diminished. Like it's not a big deal. What was that? The Mountain West was before it became Mountain West. They got rid of that conference too. So it's nothing for a conference to diminish. So
what was it called before it was Mountain West? I can't even remember now.
I can't remember. It was when BYU was in it as well.
Yeah,
it was the WAC, wasn't they? It was
Western Athletic Conference.
Yeah,
right,
I think there was a WAC.
That's what it was. So I think what happens there is then you get the next up teams that are trying to move up and increase their pay grade a little bit, and then you have somebody like Boise State come in, or somebody like Nevada, it's kind of geographically set up for that, So
yeah,
but then I guess geographics don't matter, right? Because you got the two teams from California coming to play in the Big Ten.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a Notre Dame fan, and every year they come up with how many miles Notre Dame has to travel to accomplish our schedule, man, and that's a lot of money and a lot of traveling. When it start coming down to who hosting who paying for these charter buses and these flights, man, that stuff adds up. Some teams are better off, are cheaper. Like teams that are in the Big 12, all them schools is half all in Texas. They have charter ride away Texas, from each other. Yeah, they all 6 hour or less charter ride away. You talk about USC going to Nebraska, you need a plane. Going to Michigan, you need a plane. Going to Rutgers, you need a plane. Going to Illinois, you need a plane. So that's a lot of money. But come on, USC already got caught with their hands in the cookie jar. They got sponsors with money and everything to get them where they need to go, what they need, and everything else. So that's probably plays a part of it as well. Like these teams are not going to suffer by having to expend a little more money to play ball.
Listen, they got boosters that pay all that shit anyway.
Yeah, they got plenty of that. Dr. Dre, all them other guys over there, they got plenty of boosters for that.
Yep. They do stadium renovations, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and UCLA too.
People coming in behind them too. Pepsi, So it just that money train keeps coming.
Shout out to our guy, Dutch Boy Fresh in the building. Hey, what's up with you, Dutch? You need to come on in here and chop it up. We just talking SC and UCLA leaving. Nothing major. I know you're a basketball guy, but nothing major. Just a little SC.
He's a pretty good baseball handicapper too, from what I've seen.
Oh yeah, him and Cab been on a roll lately. I've seen that as well.
Noli's, I don't know if he's a protege or Noli what, but he likes his first 500s.
Oh shucks, he learned the method. That's all it is. You watch Noli for so long, and then when it clicks off a light in your head one day, and it goes bling, and you're like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, you're winning right out of the gate, right?
Yeah,
that's what you got to look at.
Until you start going against the grain, where you be like, "Oh my God, it's 3.5. I can't do 3.5. It's just too low." And you go the other way, and it messes up for you. But what was my next question up here? Oh, so yeah, it was a little bit about what we was talking about is who makes the next chess move here in NCAA football now? Because we got, like we just mentioned, we got Oregon on the outskirts, we got Clemson on the outskirts. We already know Texas and Oklahoma is going over there, but we're leaving behind teams like North Carolina. We're leaving behind what they doing over there in the Sun Belt. We're leaving behind teams like Boise State. We're leaving behind the fact that, Miami's another team in the ACC. I don't know how much progress they're gonna make with Cristobal though. They act like because he was on the same team with Jimmy Johnson that he just they're gonna become the Cons again.
What do you think, Teece, about the ACC? I mean, Clemson's top dog for Florida State for a long while too. Them too, but there's a lot of room for improvement for a lot of up and coming teams. I think in there too. They don't. Yeah, they're probably like a second, third tier league. Right? Yeah, even as bad as they are right now.
Absolutely. Florida State's just gone downhill. I don't know what's going on with them. I actually think Maryland should have stayed. I think it would have been a better conference. Mac Brown coming back. I thought North Carolina might be a better team, but he's just past his prime. He's done. And I don't really see any upside to any team in the ACC other than Clemson. I don't see any breakout coaches that are going to take the team to the next level. And that's what it is. I mean, they need to get some new talent in the coaching positions, and they're not doing that, and they're not moving forward. So it's not an attractive conference for anybody, any school, as far as football goes.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm not wild about our guy in Tallahassee. It's kind of hard when you have one of the greatest coaches in football ever coach a game leaving. It's going to be a hard shoes to fill no matter who you put in there. But then after that fiasco with Taggart, and then bringing our guy in from Memphis, I mean he's serviceable, but our program deserves better. But if you ask anybody, they're going to say the same thing. But for the prominence that they've had over the years, it's hard to measure up. So it's going to be painful for a bit, but we'll get through it, and then the right guy will come. I wish they would have got Bob Stoops. That's the guy I wanted originally. But
yeah, I'm curious. I'm curious to know if Florida State sticks in the ACC. I can't see them moving to the SEC, at least not
no
the level they are now.
That's what I'm saying.
Where they gonna go?
There's room for everybody. So that's it. Who's going to be the next up? Virginia's a nice squad. Virginia's got Mendenhall does nice work over there. He's more of a defensive guy, but they recruit pretty good. But the crazy thing is there's so much talent in the state of Florida. These kids that they don't either go to Florida, Miami, or Florida State. They used to wind up going up to playing Kentucky or Arkansas, a place like that. Now they're dropping down in UCF. Playing in South Florida. They're moving around in different things. Now with the NIL, that's going to change everything on top of that too. So.
Yeah,
it's going to be It's going to be all about me making money right now with these kids.
And I'm wondering if that's why the move for you. One of the reasons for the move with USC and UCLA to the Big Ten because of the NIL. They need to be able to attract the talent, and I don't think they really have the teams out there that can attract the big town like they used to. I mean, USC is going to get their people just because they're USC, but UCLA really hasn't had much talent come out there in a long time. I think the last good quarterback was Troy Aikman.
Who did a nice job recruiting in the Pac-12 early on was our guy Herman.
Oh yeah. I love Herm Edwards. He's awesome.
Yeah, Herm Edwards.
He brought Michigan State, the quarterback. He grew up in Arizona. I mean, that was a great story. His first year there, kid lit up the scoreboard. That's the kind of stuff you need. You need like teams infused guys like that can really recruit. And
my man Herm's seat is kind of hot right now, though.
Yeah, I mean, he started out good his first year. His second year was a little off, but. You got to give these guys a little opportunity, man, because that's the other thing. These coaching carousels, everybody wants to win today, and depending on the program you go into, like Florida, they didn't wait too long over there. They fired a few coaches pretty fast. Now they got Napier from Louisiana, the Raging Cajun out there. He's going to be in the hot seat, pretty quick.
That guy's good though, man. That guy, I mean, to get past App State as hard as it was, he made it happen double time. So I think Napier is a good look for them. The one I really don't like.
You also got guys like Kelly and Lane Kiffin and all these other guys that are coming into the SEC. Or got Mississippi State. Leach,
man, I think
you got all the top tier coaches flying down here. Not everybody's going to be a Saban.
If anybody's a mastermind enough to turn the transfer portal successful, it's gonna have to be Kelly. But that's all he's using because LSU was already busted, and then the quarterbacks they did have who had a slight future, they left too. So they left with no quarterbacks, they left with no linemen, they left with no defensive players, and he brought in I think a solid 8. He went for all top dog starters to come in out the transfer portal to try to help him out. So I think he might do the best. But you looking at it, people like Lincoln Riley got 14 out the transfer portal. Ridiculous what they doing over here.
Yeah. Lincoln Riley come back to roost, it looks like, huh? Oh, no, he was in the Big 12, not the Big 10. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he was in the Big 12, but I don't know. I don't know much to say about these young coaches. We see it in the NFL a lot. And now I think it's trickling down to college football, and that's they just giving people too much money. And if you're $100 million coach, I gotta respect you as $100 million coach. That don't mean that you're worth $100 million though. You know what I'm saying? That don't mean that you're gonna do $100 million job, but you're getting paid that amount of money, and the public perceives you like the deal that Lincoln Riley got. I mean, golly, he should win the national championship in the next 2 years.
Yeah.
You give me a house, access to a jet, and the money. I mean, I don't even think actors make as much money as he made out of that deal. Like I don't know. I'm envious of that.
I remember when Spurrier went to South Carolina, and this was like 2010, 2011. They hired the girl coach. What's her name? Daly, right? Our guy knows. Teece knows about her. The basketball coach at the Gamecocks, South Carolina. She's a
Dawn Staley.
Yeah. So they were paying her more money than they were paying Spurrier at the time. But I just say it just progresses and progresses and progresses. And at that time, I think she was making like $2.5 million, and Spurrier was making like $1.5 million or something like that. And I think Saban was the top guy. He was making like $5 million back then. Yep. I don't know what Saban's making now, but I'm sure like $5 million.
Hey, shout out to our guy Connor Mack, came and hang out with us too, man. He said that we're ready for the college football soon. We're gonna be on that show, Connor Mack, on Saturday, man. We just getting the conversation warm right now. That's all. We just getting the seat warm. He says he can't wait. But that comes up with my final question, though. And I wanted you to, kind of let me know your vision. So in the 5-year mark, let's say after they acclimate USC to UCLA, because that's the topic today, we're going to say Oklahoma and Texas too, because right around the same time. Where do you see – Big Ragoo already kind of itched at it a little bit, but where do you see these conferences in 5 years from now? Go for it, Teece.
I'm sorry, you caught me. I was looking.
I said, where do you see NCAA football with these conferences and the moves and everything in the next 5 years?
To be honest with you, I kind of just see 2 conferences taking up the whole country. I mean, a
lot of people say that.
I mean, in all honesty, if you're bringing West Coast teams into the Big Ten, who traditionally was a Midwestern conference and branched out to the East Coast, and now they're going West Coast, it's like, I mean, it's not a big step to just put all these Power 5 schools into 2 conferences, and everybody else can be mid-majors. So that's what it looks like to me. I don't like the move. I think it's bad for college football, but it's all about the money.
I hear you. So, Big Ragoo, you already mentioned a solid 6 conferences
Yeah,
at the
I still
end.
believe that.
So, give us a little insight on a couple teams you think gonna go here, gonna go there to create your solid 6 conferences.
I think what you're going to wind up happening is like all the major teams. Like if you looked in the top 25, for maybe like the past 5, 6 years, 10 years for that matter, and you see that not the same teams popping in, but you see a lot of couple of fringe teams coming in like SMU, UCF, teams like that, or the power, the out of the conference, not the top 5, but the power. What do they call the other conference? I can't even think right now. My head's all
Not the FCS.
FCS teams, right?
Yeah.
But don't forget, you got Division 1, Division 2, Division 3. So college football, it's not going to change the landscape. It's going to change the landscape as we see it as fans. But in reality, there's still kids, like you said, going to play football in college, going to get their education. There's still going to be college sports there. It's just the money thing, the whole TV thing is going to change. It's going to break down the playoffs a little differently, but you're still going to have college teams playing. It's just that who's going after the dollars and cents? It's going to be those top 25 teams, and which is going to equate to probably about half the league, which is probably going to be 60 teams. So you probably have like 10 to 12 teams per conference, and you're going to have probably like you're going to have 4 major conferences, I say. You're going to have 4, and you're going to have 2 mid-tier conferences, and all the rest nobody's going to give a shit about anyway. So you're going to have 4 majors and 2 mids. And just like college basketball, you got mid-major teams,
Right.
and you got Division 1 teams. You're going to have the same thing in college football, except it's going to be a little more abbreviated because there's only 130 Division 1 teams. So you're going to have 4 conferences and 2 mid-tier conferences. And then probably what you wind up having is you'll have a team. You have each team. You have 6 major. If they want to expand the college playoff, expand it to have 6 and 2 or 4 and 2, and then be done with it. Have like a wild card from maybe east and west or north or south, and then have the 2 teams come play out of the smaller conferences, so they feel welcome too. They could do it like a seeding, 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7.
Now the way I see it is, first off, some conferences are definitely going to have to be eliminated. We're going to see like everything before now has been always about the expansion of the conferences and all that. But I think now, like you said, they're going to do some consolidation. They're going to do consolidation with their neighbors. You're looking at Mountain West and Pac-12. One of them got to go, right? Even if you look at the talent level, you look at geographic wise, it all kind of meshed together. And you could eliminate one of those, expand another one. Considering a few teams leaving, like SC and UCLA gone off, so you don't got the 12, you got the 10, and then you look at Mountain West, maybe Boise goes somewhere, something else, and then you create another conference among them, and then you got like what is it, the ACC and the AAC, basically, right, all up in the same area, kind of share talent and all that. If you really think about it, you can consolidate that down. UCF Ben should have been playing Clemson and Miami. You know what I'm saying? So you can consolidate those 2 down. Then you got the Sun Belt and the CUSA. You can eliminate one of those for sure, because CUSA, they kind of dragging along as far as they funding and stuff.
That would be a good mid-major conference there with those 2 right there.
Yeah.
And then
you just make it, and then you throw the MAC down there too. You got to put the MAC down there because the MAC competes. But I think that we kind of level it out, like you said, create a spread of like 5 or 6 major conferences, which allows maybe the top 2 from every conference to attend the college playoffs 10 years down the line.
They've been doing it in Division 2 and Division 3 for years, the college playoff. So it's no math, it's no secret how they do it. It's just they'll do it on a grander scale with the bigger teams. That's all.
Well, we're looking at this from a college football aspect, and that's it really. Because if you jump to college basketball, I don't see you're never going to have just 2 conferences. There's just too many teams that can compete for a national championship every year that you just can't.
It was like 300 possible basketball teams in college.
Yeah, and like any team that comes out can in any year go to the Sweet 16, Elite 8, and make a Cinderella run. So
you just need that one special player on your team.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how this pans out with college basketball too, because that's my thing, college basketball, and that's what's going.
Yeah, you see, we're talking football, but NIL, the second biggest thing is college basketball.
Yeah,
I seen a thing the other day. What's the kid that went to K-State? Anyways, he's going to University of Miami. They're giving him $800,000, $400,000 for 2 years, and $100,000 car grant or some shit like that. So it's almost $100,000 a year. So that's $1 million deal. $400 a year for the NIL, and then $100.
That's a lot of pressure to put on a kid, man.
Yeah, he's a sophomore. Sophomore going to be going to University of Miami. Forget his name. Connor probably knows his name.
Hey, but even in college basketball, the method I was saying, like mixing Pac-12 and Mountain West, even basketball-wise, it would make sense because they compete about at the same level. It wouldn't change anything. Or maybe they expand one and eliminate the other. You know what I'm saying? Whatever one is slacking on funds and don't want to continue, the other one just absorb it and keep going. So I could even see it happen on that leg. Maybe we going into a thing where there's going to be so many teams in the conference. We've never seen that. Like in football, basketball, we dealing with expansion teams at this point in time. Originally, it was less teams than this. So it's probably going to expand the seasons, expand the conferences, and expand the games. So I guess it's all that makes money sense, right? More games, more money.
When they realigned baseball, they did it for geographic reasons. Hockey too, right? So you'd think it would make sense to do the same thing with football. I mean, when years ago in the Big 12, it used to be the Southwestern Conference, right? Then they had the Southeastern Conference that was Southwestern, and then they realigned. The reason why they did that, you know what I mean? Then they went to the Big 12, whatever. But yeah, I kind of understand the economics behind the Pac-12 teams jumping on board because of the revenues and whatnot, but I don't understand the travel aspect, like Teece was saying. And I don't know if they're just trying to draw more East Coast market share because they know the big TV market in LA, of course. But that's a drawback for guys like us on the East Coast when them games are being played late, unless we're diehard fans. They're not going to get that casual fan watching the game at 10, 11 o'clock in the evening over on the East Coast. So I think they're kind of trying to draw a happy medium for that too.
They spoke about that in the article I read about the US Think thing is going to give them more notoriety to play on the time at a time when everybody can watch them, opposed to playing. They call it not the Pac-12, but the Pac-Dead or something. They're trying to call it because nobody wants to watch those games at that time of night. So that's exciting for USC and UCLA. But I'm pretty sure when USC or UCLA play at home, they're going to play the late games over here. I mean, who doesn't want the good old
casino in the morning and go and bet football at 9 o'clock in the morning? That was my favorite thing about getting up. I have to pinch myself because I said, shit, I better hurry up and go eat something. I got to get these games down.
That's how we live out here.
Just walking around in the casino. But that's, and then 4 o'clock your afternoon, 4 o'clock, your day is over basically, and then you still got the whole night.
I'd be homeless, man. If I lived on the West Coast, I'd be homeless because there's no way I'm getting up that early.
Man, I'm telling you, I love it, man. My tradition of my coffee, just early in the morning, the wife and kids asleep. You got the house to yourself, your coffee, your laptop, you got all the study and everything right then and there. You hop on some of these shows with us and all that. It's a good times early in the morning over here. I'm kind of an early bird anyway, though.
I like it.
I like it.
I'm me, rock star here, man.
Oh yeah, man. Teece parties to the wee hours.
He's open them up and close them down, right, Teece?
Yeah, man. I'm hitting the hay at 5 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Eastern.
my man Pooty says some coffee and some Boss Hot Wings. He had those Boss Hot Wings before. They phenomenal.
What's a Boss Hot Wing?
Yeah.
It's one of these hot wings I make in the air fryer real quick. When we all over here hungry, we got to eat. Yeah, I got to make them wings real good. I put the boss sauce on it, you know.
There you go. Gotta sell
Shit,
that
bring
stuff.
some of that boss sauce to Vegas in August.
Hey, maybe we got to sell that with the Boss in the Sauce show, Ragoo. We got to come up with the boss sauce.
Start
We got to
bottling
sell
up.
that.
Yeah, hell yeah. Love in a bottle, baby. Love in a bottle.
I like it. I like it. I like it. Yeah, man. But I mean, that's all we got here on the USC, the UCLA, going to the Big Ten. It's been a wonderful show with y'all, man. We had some great information. Shout out to all the people that joined us today. I mean, like I said at the beginning of the show, I still say at the end of the show, stay tuned for the Boss in the Sauce. We're gonna continue to do this thing, and y'all already know who we are and what you're going to get out of this. It only gets better as the season approach. And then we're going to start reining in the money picks. We're going to start reining in the money picks. Y'all better get ready for it. But make sure y'all go check out my man Teece, too, on Pub Sports on his show that he does on a daily. It's a daily now, right, Teece?
Every day there's a game, and there's been a game every day this week except for Saturday. They won't let me do Saturdays.
That's right. Well, you can catch him over here on Who-Bangin on Saturdays, but for every day he's not. He's over there on Pub.
4 Eastern. But
4 Eastern.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go live here in about an hour on Who-Bangin. Talk about this game tomorrow. The sky in the Mercury, and just because it's a 1 o'clock game Eastern time, and who knows if I'll be awake by then.
Get your bets in tonight.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hopefully the numbers ain't moved. I hope that they move your way.
Yeah.
And y'all know y'all could always catch my man Big Ragoo on Twitter. He gives out the best, greatest pick posts that they have going on Twitter. Not including that he's live on Jimmy the Bag show, betting with the bag on Pub Sports from time to time, whatever. So you got to really follow every social media Big Ragoo is on to catch up with him because he's all over the place now.
I dip and dive. Sometimes I might lay low on Twitter every now and then, but not on purpose. Just, life comes at you different ways, man. We're just trying to get shit done. But for the most part, yes, we'll be back here doing our college football thing. And then I'm going to be on with Say Hey Play Jose Bouquet on I call him Bouquet. His Bouquet. I got a dab him once in a while. I'll be on Sunday, July 3rd, Sunday morning show. We'll break down the whole MLB card on Pub Sports. And DJ and I will be back here, I'm sure, next week.
Stay tuned for some college conference. It's already set. We're just waiting to record. So once we start recording, just like today, we got the best normal, regular, you can understand type show with a couple laughs and giggles. None of that staring at the wall, dizzy, discombobulated. I'm tired of watching this show. I'm going to do something else. You can have fun with us. Hop in our chat. We answer our chat. We talk back and all that good stuff. Leave us some comments when the show is over if you're watching this later too. But get ready for the Boss in the Sauce on Full Throttle, man. Like you seen us maybe 5 years ago, and where we came on a lot, and we're gonna be going back to doing that. We're gonna be doing NFL as well. My man Pooh Dangles, thank you for showing up in the chat, man. Appreciate your comments. He's a boxing guy right there, man. He's not a bettor, but he's big on boxing. I made plenty of money betting his picks.
He got great, my father. Hey, let me show him something. He's a boxing guy. Hang on, I'm gonna turn this off camera here. Check it out, my man. Who's that? 50-0, Rocky Marciano.
Rocky Marciano. You already know, man.
The Brockton Brawler.
I appreciate everybody showing up, man, and hanging out with us, but it's a Friday, and I got to start this 4th of July weekend. Y'all be safe. To my man Drinking Hand, remember, light those fireworks with a drink in one hand for balance. That way you don't mess that up, okay? You look the balance.
Is he in the chat drinking
hand? I don't know, but he always follows everything we do. So I'm sure
he'll come back and watch the show.
But that's for you, Drinking Hand. So y'all stay tuned. Who-Bangin, Boss in the Sauce, my man Teece. We got next and in WNBA that you can trust right here on Who-Bangin Sports. We out of here, y'all. Y'all take it easy.
Oh, my man.
Y'all have a good night. Be safe. Oh, shit.
Good seeing you, my man.
Yeah,
What are you doing for the 4th?
What's that?
What are you going to be doing for the 4th?
I don't have any plans. Probably
No plans?
go up to Philly.